Hello, my friends. I hope you're all doing good and your walk is light. Today I want to talk about being alone. I had a friend ask me earlier what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm probably going to do what I normally do. I'm just going to go sit down by the river and think. And she said, you do that all the time. You really have to have some kind of social life. And I said to her, do I really? Now, it's not that I don't like hanging out with my friends, and it's not that I don't like seeing people. I enjoy seeing all kinds of people. I just came back from a trip where I got to talk to all kinds of different people from different cultures, different walks of life, some people on the red, some people on the blue. It doesn't really matter. I enjoy talking to people. Kind of like that short that I put up the other day with George Carlin. It's not that I don't like people. I like individual people. I just don't like crowds. I never have, I never will. I find that when you have too many people in one place together, it's just groupthink, and, groupthink, in my opinion, is bad think. I guess not all the time. But anyways, what I'm getting at is, right now, while I'm making this, I'm sitting here down by the river, in a van down by the river, and I'm just talking to myself. And, some people meditate, some people go, Some people do all kinds of weird, silly, crazy, spiritually woo-woo things. Me, I learned early on that just kind of sitting alone with my thoughts and discussing them, some of them I let pass right by, and some of them I stop and I go, wait, what was that? Let's talk about that. And the reason why I'm making this real talk is because I want to know if any of you do it. If any of you sit alone for an hour, half an hour, not 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, that's daydreams, whatever. But I can tell you that if any of my advice has ever helped you at all in any of these real talks, the reason that I'm able to make some of the real talks that actually make sense, I know a lot of them are just me gibbering on, but it's because I've sat with those thoughts before I made that audio. And Alan Watts says that there's a quiet solitude that defines meaning, and there's no way to express it. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I could sit here for hours and maybe not think about anything. I could think about all the crazy shit that goes on in the world every day and let that bring me down. Or I could think about some friend bitching about something and let that bring me down. Think about some bill, some stupid stuff from the experience. But I don't do that. What I do in my experience is I try to enjoy the experience. Like I've said in past real talks, no matter what you think this is, no matter, if any of it's real, if you're not really here, it doesn't matter. You're here. You're in this experience. That's what matters. And what matters is what matters to you most. And what matters to me most is being in nature, seeing birds flying around. I don't drive out to the middle of the woods. I'm like outside of a city right now, just sitting down by the river. There's literally a sign in front of me that says, do not eat any of the fish that you catch out of this river. So that tells you how close I am to a city. But what I'm getting at is you have to have these moments. And like I said, it can't be those 5 or 10 minutes, while you're in the bathroom, or there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to figure out like what things you want to get down to, like what spiritual woo-woo things that are like you're not grasping, sit alone on a park bench, at a beach, in your bedroom, wherever, and just have a conversation with yourself. And I promise you, at first, it's going to be like meditating. At first, you're going to be like, this isn't working, blah, blah, blah. But eventually it kicks in. And once it kicks in, I'll tell you, my friends, when they say, oh, man, you talk to yourself too much, I always say it's the only time I have intelligent conversations. And I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. Well, it's not that my friends aren't intelligent. It's just that their conversation of intelligence is different than what my intelligence conversation is. I'm sure I could sit down with any one of you and have an intelligent conversation, but for right now I'm doing it by myself. and with a goose that just decided to walk up to the van. And he's probably looking for something. I got no food, bro. Get a job. You better fly back to Canada before Donald Trump kicks your ass out of the country. Anyways. So what I'm getting at is, you got to take some moments. If you're like me, like I was 10 years ago, and you're stressing every day, and you can't figure out, you're saying, oh, I'll drink something, I'll smoke something, I'll get over it. That shit ain't gonna work. Simple and plain. Take it from somebody that knows. But self-therapy is probably the best thing I've ever done. I went to therapy, I tried pills, and I'm not saying, jump off your antidepressants. If they're working for you, do it. But what I'm saying is they didn't work for me, and I'd say ever since I quit drinking, I've been finding that alone time is the best time. Now, not all the time. Like I said, I like to enjoy time with friends and family, and you should too. But there's nothing wrong with going and hanging out with yourself. And if any of your friends or family think you're crazy for doing so or even talking to yourself, remember that the only reason they think that is because society tells them that that's abnormal. They've been programmed, just like you have, just like I have. And so when you see somebody walking down the road talking to themselves, you're like, I better walk across the street, better not go near that guy. I have people do it all the time. I talk to myself at Walmart. Now, I'm not having full-blown conversations about the global economy, but I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, these are the Doritos I like. And I'll say it because it reaffirms what I like. I don't understand why we think that that's crazy, but yeah, I have people that look at me in that aisle and they go down another aisle. Whatever, makes more room for the aisle. But there's nothing wrong with it. And you should try it. This wasn't really a real talk about anything except for me saying, hey, try it. Because I will tell you, it helps you with the stress. If you're having a problem, and I'm going to link this in the description and right here up above, there's a great video by a guy that talks about how if you sit alone with your thought, if you sit down and think about a problem you're facing or something, an idea that you're trying to create or something, if you sit down with yourself for 30 minutes to an hour and just think about that thing without the negativity. See, that's the problem. We've also been programmed to bring negativity and fear and everything. So you're going to sit down with an idea that we've all done it. We've all sat at a bar or sat somewhere trying to think something over, a relationship, something like that. And then the negativity and all that comes into it. But if you sit down, you think to yourself, talk to yourself, and just think positive thoughts, you will come to a solution. And I firmly believe that. Now, have I won $1 million in the lotto yet? No. But I haven't really sat down and thought about it. But I have sat down and thought about a lot of other things and about what I'm going to do. And I'm not saying it's manifesting anything, but what I'm saying is I've come to solutions that are amazing. They're more than what I thought I could even come up with, just from sitting alone with my thoughts. A lot of spiritual woo-woo circles will tell you, oh, you got to be careful of thoughts, you got to be careful of this, that's your ego, that's this. That. Just throw all that out the door. Throw it all out the door and just sit alone by yourself for a half an hour or so and take a problem you have, or take something that you're worried about, or take something that you're happy about and think about it. Or do what I do sometimes, watch a spiritual video or something like that. Write down some of the key things they talk about in that video. You don't have to write it out in full paragraphs. Just write out that topic and then sit by yourself and talk to yourself about that topic. Because you can watch all these videos and read all the books, and yeah, you'll grasp some of it and you'll hold on to some of it, but a lot of it, and I'm talking a lot of it, you will never put into play. And I know because I've been doing it for a long time. But if you take the ideas from those videos and the topics from those videos and you sit down with yourself and you discuss them with yourself, you will be amazed how you will start putting some of those things into play. Sometimes without you even knowing you're doing it. So take time to sit by the sea. That's actually one of my favorite sayings. It's on a bench in Onset, Massachusetts. If you're ever in Onset, there's a bench that says, take time to sit by the sea. Sit there. But if you're not, take time to sit by wherever you are, next to a Canadian goose like me right now, and think about things. Sorry to ramble on. I love you all. Walk in light.